What's going on, everyone? I am once again joined by Mrs.
Mrs.
Brooklyn Admiral. Really quick side note. So I messaged Michelle, one of our members, and she asked if Run Club is on Rain or Shine. And I meant to say yes, ma'am, but it went through as yes, mama. And I'm like, oh God, no, it's not mama, it's ma'am.
Autocorrect.
Anyways, this is week, I don't even know.
4?
Because it's been so consistent.
I know. Yeah.
This is week 100 of us doing our weekly little podcast.
Great.
And the topic for today that we want to go through is we're going to each share 3 mistakes that we've made regarding like fitness, nutrition, or just health in general. So who wants to go first?
I don't know. You go first. Let's hear where you messed up.
I'll go for, I'm trying to pick like, I'll pick one that I think is actually, I've talked about it before with you specifically on a podcast. Having too much protein. So I think a lot of the times we obviously know protein is the macronutrient that people lack the most. But when I do my like whatever little bit of tracking every once in a while, sometimes I find I try to overcorrect and have too much protein. So my goal is to have around 150 grams. And last time I checked, I was like at 170 or 180, which it's not bad, but protein is still calories. And I think sometimes people forget that. Like when we're saying you need to eat more protein, they're like, okay, so they add protein, but then they're not taking anything out. So realistically, they're just adding calories, and it doesn't matter if it's fats, proteins, or carbs. More calories is still going to potentially make you cause weight if you're not in a caloric deficit. So just being mindful of my protein intake. So you
could have more protein. You just need to take out something else.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. Like I still think people should start with a protein goal and then adjust fats and carbs. Like there should always, like protein should be king.
I feel like you're a little bit more focused than the average person on carbs and fats for performance reasons.
1,000%.
So like, you know, my clients, we don't have as big of a focus on like carbs and fats. It's more protein and calories. So for athletes, for sure, you need to take, if you need to have in this much carbs because you're going to be running and you're trying to be on a cut and in a deficit and you're upping your protein, but you can't really take out those carbs because you need those for performance. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
And then the other kind of thing relating to too much protein is like if you are someone that you always find you're hungry and you need snacks, one thing that I've done is I usually have a very like protein heavy breakfast. So maybe that's a scoop and a half of protein powder, or maybe it's a scoop of protein powder, some Fairlife milk, and then some Greek yogurt. So like a lot of protein. Whereas now what I've done, because I do find at like 2, 3 o'clock, I need like another snack, and protein's more satiating than carbs, for example. So what I've done is I've actually reduced some of my protein in the morning to then allow me to have like another Greek yogurt bowl at 2 or 3 o'clock. And that's like my other hit of protein. So kind of like removing something there that I probably didn't really need and then moving it somewhere else in my day.
Yeah, based on your hunger schedule.
1,000%.
Yeah.
So
too much protein because you're trying to be in a deficit. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we're clear that like there's people who could like 150 is ideal, that's body weight, but them eating 170 is not bad. But for you trying to be in a calorie deficit, yes, more protein, but of course you have to take that all into consideration.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My turn?
Your turn.
All right.
And we don't know each other's, just so people know.
Okay, so I'm going to, which one am I going to start with here? I just deleted all my notes, so.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did. That's okay. I remember them. I don't know. I just pressed something. Shit. No, I remember. Okay, so my first one, it's funny, but it's not funny. And you know this one. This is a big mistake. When I first started running, let's just say I was going off feel opposed to science. Let me just tell everyone, you do need to drink water in a half marathon and you do need to fuel properly, even if you have trained, fasted, and, done. I learned the hard way. So yeah, the lesson learned was you really need to hydrate for your runs and fuel properly so that you don't die and pass out 400 meters from the finish line.
I was hoping you were going to share that one.
Yeah, that was a big mistake, a big lesson.
Yeah.
And then I did it again the second time properly and with you, and I finished in great spirits. Remember you ran the half marathon with me?
That's right.
Such a nice friend.
It was so much
I almost
fun.
didn't do it again because I was like traumatized a little.
Yeah.
But then everyone's like, no, you got to redeem yourself. So I did.
It's literally like you lived a lot of like the nightmares that I share with some of my clients where like you're running and you literally see people 400 meters before the finish line. I think it was even less than 400 meters.
Oh, I think it was before that turn.
Yeah. So if
On
you guys
Dufferin.
know the Forest City Half Marathon, it usually ends on, I forget what that street is called.
Dufferin.
On Dufferin. That's right. And you were just before the turn on Dufferin. So you were on Wellington.
I don't remember. So, but I know I was right. I was about there. I don't remember maybe the last 2K of the race.
Yes. So, I mean, once again, I share a lot of this with my running clients. When you first start running, even if it's a 5K or a 10K, you will always feel really good at the beginning and you're not hydrating or consuming carbohydrates for that moment. It's for like future Brooke.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I did run, and it's one of the things where it's like I was always running fasted, running really early in the morning, and I would bring water on my runs. But, you know, being a first half marathon, I was like, I don't want to change anything right now.
Yeah.
You know, I know I can run this distance and I've done it before. Then it was hot.
Yeah.
I don't do well in heat. And then I blacked out
Yes, you did.
and I had heat stroke. Real heat stroke. I used to say that back in the day. Oh, I think I had heat stroke yesterday. No,
definitely
you didn't. I was slurring my words. I had no memory.
Yeah.
I woke up on a stretcher, didn't know where I was, what I was doing. Someone could have been like, you're in a car accident. I would have been like, oh. Like literally took me hours to remember anything. It was very weird and scary.
It was scary. And you've never really had that before.
Never.
Yeah.
No. Oh God. So I remember waking up and being like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Where am I? Yeah. So I won't
I
do
was
that
there.
again. Yeah.
Imagine I have a bunch of like blackmail pictures from that
Oh
moment.
my gosh. I think about it and I'm like, who was letting me run like that? Like I didn't look well by the sounds of it. But I don't know. People push through. You've seen people finish marathons and they're like,
Oh, dude, for sure. For sure.
Right? I was one of those people.
Well, you'll
that
never
didn't
do it
make
again.
My mom did give me a medal though. She was like, my daughter is so close to the finish line back there. Yeah. So
I love that. I love that. Okay, so my next one, I like this one I wanted to put first, but it's like it's the boring stuff that we always talk about, and I know regardless of me bringing this up, people still probably aren't really going to focus on it. But I feel like I focused on everything to enhance my performance, except for the most important performance enhancing thing, which is sleep. So
which you focus on big time.
now I'm like hardcore focused on it. And not to say, like, don't get me wrong, I was never up until 12 and, you know, waking up at 3 a.m. Like I still, for the most part, slept very, very well, but I never put like extra attention to it. Or I have all of these devices that measure everything and I never really stressed too much about my sleep scores. Whereas now, like, I'm very focused on what is going to give me the best night's sleep. And then, you know, having a young child and having another one on the way, I know that like there's going to be seasons of my life where my sleep can't be a priority, but I can still, you know, take advantage of sleeping while I can and still trying to get like restful sleeps, even though they might be a little bit shorter. So, like truly putting focus and attention on sleep.
I think that the people who care about performance will care about that one. I think that's too maybe like, you know, when you're younger, you could like, you're more focused on performance like in the moment than you are the prep ahead of time.
Yeah.
But I think that, yeah, it's boring, but we all know the boring stuff is the most important thing. Sometimes people need to hear it a million times before they're like, okay, maybe I should go to bed 1 hour earlier or I should put an emphasis on sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Yeah. Even if you aren't an athlete, like if you're just a mom or a dad, and when I say just, I don't mean just like you, it's the hardest job, but if you have kids, if you just want more energy, because that's one thing, like one of the biggest reasons people join a gym, there's like, I just need to have more energy. The one thing that can probably help you have the most energy is actually having a good night's sleep. So
Yeah.
Just taking a look at your own sleep habits.
Yeah, it's good. Mine, and this was definitely very real, like more in, I would say, my younger days because I'm better at it now, but I always wouldn't care about a warm-up. I'd skip a warm-up a lot. I remember my cross-country days. Sure, we do that, but I do a couple fucking quad stretches, ready to go. And I was good. But like, you know, I feel like those are the things that it's just, again, maybe when you're a little bit younger, it's like you can eat whatever you want and go run. You're not really sleeping. You'll still perform well. But it's when you are really focusing on performance, you can't just jump into the workout.
Yeah.
You know, like your first press, your first squat, like it's going to feel heavy if you haven't done the warm up. So I'm more diligent on it with that now. And it makes a big difference.
And you're like married to the warm up king.
I know. It takes forever. I don't warm up with him.
No, me neither.
Or we'll be warming up for half a day.
I feel like he's getting better.
He is. He's a lot better. He's not like he was. Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him. I was like, I should be like that, but
do you have a go-to warm-up?
It's always in my programming.
Oh, okay.
Which
So
is
you'll
great.
actually
So
program
I think,
it in.
Yeah. So I think that's very key. Sure, we all know what to warm up, but like having something where it's like, okay, I got to go 2-3 rounds. You know, it's not too long, it's not too short, but it's enough to like prime you for the movements that we're doing. Like I just follow it, and it's great. Yeah. So it's important because you really do feel a difference.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm way better at now than I used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still not great for warming. Actually, I'm better than I'm maybe giving myself credit for. But like with running, for example, I might do a little bit of stretching beforehand, not really. But I always program, even for like the people I program for, the first half kilometer is supposed to be done at like zone 1. Like
yeah, I remember that
slow.
from when you did my run stuff. It was always like 0.5K warm up.
100%, just to even get your heart rate like kind of settled, right?
Yeah.
Rather than just sprinting. But yes, it's a good one.
Important.
Okay, so my last one, and I think this is a mistake I still make, and it's definitely something a mistake I make now more than I have in the past, and that's like I'm not comfortable feeling uncomfortable in workouts. Like I don't like entering the pain cave. Hear me out. For runs, that's one thing, but the running pain cave for my style of training right now for marathons is different because it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour of pain. But that's different than like 3-minute assault bike pain or 20-second assault bike sprints, 3 minutes off. Like that alactic training, or like in the, you know, the circuits that we do during the conditioning portions of our strength and conditioning classes, like pushing hard in workouts, I don't do as well as I used to do because I know how uncomfortable it makes me feel.
I wouldn't have thought this would have been one of yours.
1000%. So like that is why the biggest benefit that I've done for my training, like for certain energy systems, is getting back in classes because I will always push myself harder in a class than I will on my own, especially if I'm working out with people like yourself or your husband or Will.
I mean, I feel like you can't, very few people cannot have an inner, not even competition, like I need to beat, but like I need to show up and go faster because so-and-so's going faster, right? That's such a bonus of being in a class and working out in a group of people.
Yes.
Most people are going to push themselves more.
And I think that's one thing too, where it's like, we talk a lot about, you don't want to be at the point where you're pushing yourself super hard every single day because something's eventually going to break. But, you know, it's very obvious in some of the workouts that we'll design where if there's, you know, things like kettlebell swings or ring rows, things like that, like you actually can't push yourself very hard on those because it's like you can't do a kettlebell swing faster than it's going to happen.
Right.
You can go heavier, but it's still a different stimulus compared to if the workout is going to be burpees and assault bike. It's like that's where you can push yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, like just kind of making it suck, not every day, but at least once a week, get into that like really sucky state for a portion of your workout.
Zone. Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yes.
Okay, so my third one is probably something I did years ago, is trying to be in a deficit without actually knowing what your deficit is. Right? I think that generally if people are trying to like, you know, cut weight or lean up, you can probably name a few things that, you know, you could like cut out or like, you know, rein in on. But again, the importance of tracking. If you're not tracking, you're guessing. And you can spend a lot longer in that guessing time than if you just figured out your deficit and tracked and knew. So yeah, I think, you know I've done that before, just guessing. But then when I'm dialed in, There is no guessing.
Yeah.
I know when I'm in a deficit. I don't need to guess. And sometimes you might be like eating too little and it's affecting you in not the right way, like under eating in too much of a deficit, or just not in a deficit, thinking you are, wondering why things aren't happening. So just the awareness.
I think that's a very, very common one. And
Yeah.
it's probably a mistake that we make often throughout the year. Like we're not always dialed in 100%, despite what people might think about us.
Yeah. Seasons for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even for, once again, going back to my runners, it should be like a bingo thing. Like how often does Isaac say this? Yeah. Like I weigh myself when I'm in season. I weigh myself every single day, not because I care about losing weight, but because I want to make sure I'm not losing weight during my runs. Like I want to make sure that I'm properly fueled and like maintaining my body weight.
This is the thing that I think needs to be reinforced. Weighing yourself every day, tracking your food every day is not a negative, obsessive thing for everybody.
That's right.
It is awareness. It is a check-in. You know, someone might be like, Isaac, why are you weighing yourself every day? Because automatically we think, oh, you're weighing yourself? Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to always be a negative relationship with the scale, right? It really does bring awareness and accountability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you and I, we actually haven't talked about the scale in a long time. That's probably a good topic, like another topic that we can cover. But yeah, is the scale rough for some people and they don't have a good relationship with it? Absolutely.
Can that change though? Absolutely. I've seen that all the time.
Because a lot of the times what happens, and we talk about this often, is someone who doesn't have a good relationship with the scale still weighs themselves every once in a while, periodically, and maybe because most people, when they hop on the scale, it's when they're like not feeling very good about themselves, which means they've probably had pizza the night before and they've done all these things where they're like maintaining all this water weight. So then the number that they see on the scale is actually super inflated. Whereas if you're doing it more consistent, you can actually see that there's trends where it's like, yeah, if I look at this, my net is going down. It might not be going like this, but like you don't want this. You want like a nice gradual decline.
Yeah.
So,
and I think not having like, when people don't have a good relationship with the scale, it's normally not just with the scale. It's also probably not a good relationship with food because they're going to step on that scale. It's going to fuck them up for the day because it's not what they wanted. And then how do they control that? Through their food. Yeah. So there's lots to unwrap there. But I think the scale can be a great tool.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Any other mistakes or things that you want to cover?
No, but I probably have a million other mistakes I've made in my life.
For sure.
I'll probably think of them right after we end this.
There'll be part 100 of this series.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more, but it's normal. And I think that when you're like, it's true that mistakes can make you better because when I run again, I'm a better runner because of what I fucked up with 2 years ago. You know, you're better at getting leaner now because you're, adapting things. So yeah,
love
I think
it.
they're positives.
Last little tidbit for like some, I don't want to say advice. And this is like, I want to do a podcast on this as well. This is like very new. I was talking to your husband about it yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm not like a massive beer drinker, but I know, just like with everything, with certain anchors in my day or in my week, it really triggers me to want to have a drink.
Sure.
So for example, Run Club Wednesday nights, shout out, come 5:30. It's free for everybody. We do fartleks. It's super fun. Afterwards, we usually go to Toboggan or to Barney's and we get a drink. If people want to get water, they can get water. If people want to get food, they can get food. I usually have some sort of beer, which is not bad. Like if you're having a drink a week, it's not the biggest deal. But like I probably don't need that drink. And then same thing on the weekends. Like if I'm doing yard work, not like our men's only workout that happens every second week. There's another
Saturday
shout
at
out.
7 a.m. guys.
Yeah, this Saturday, 7 a.m. Come out. Once again, free for everybody. When I'm doing yard work outside, I want a cold beer. Yeah. There's something about it that I love.
And the sunshine.
100%.
It's just like calling 100%. Your name. Yeah.
So this past weekend, which was the long weekend, went out to my brother's cottage. And instead of buying alcoholic beer, I bought non-alcoholic beer. And I've never in my life purchased non-alcoholic beer. But I'm like, I want to try it out. And it was great. Like low calories. Not that I really care about that aspect as much, But the one I had, I think it was like 50 calories. You can get some that are like 20 or 15 from like Athletic Brewing. I haven't tried them yet. That's going to be next.
Okay.
But I'm like, this summer, I'm not going to stop drinking beer because I still like alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
There's certain times for that.
Yeah.
But like if it's Run Club, for example, at 7 p.m., maybe I don't want to have an alcoholic beverage then because I know how much it fucks up my sleep.
Yes.
And since that's a priority, maybe I'll have something like a non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
So I'm playing around with that. I want to see how much of an effect it has.
Yeah. Give us the stats next time.
Yeah.
Sleep after one beer.
Yeah.
Sleep after one non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
I remember my Whoop telling me that my sleep was absolute shit after one glass of wine.
Yeah.
Had I have not seen that, I would have been like, what? Or I would have never thought it affected.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know how your sleep is. You don't really know the quality, right? Until you have data. And then you're like, wow, that sleep was not good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, because of one glass of wine, are you kidding me? Oh, no.
For sure. And that's that. I think that's one thing where people struggle with as well is if you like have a few drinks and then you're like, yeah, I pass right out and I have a deep sleep. It's like you actually don't have deep sleep. You have light sleep.
Yeah.
Which is why your scores are all screwed up because you didn't get much REM or much deep. So it's the same thing with some cannabis products. Like you might think that you pass right out after having an edible, but same thing. It actually doesn't really put you into deep sleep, which is why your Whoop scores seem destroyed the next day, and why when you wake up after a night of drinking, you don't feel refreshed.
No, you don't feel like you were just passed out for hours.
Yeah. No.
Horrible.
Cool. Anything else?
Yep.
Look at that was like 21 minutes.
I was going to say today's was shorter.
Wow.
It was a little shorter.
I'm so proud of ourselves.
Yeah, I like the ones where we don't know what we're going to say.
Yeah.
Like what was the habits where we have to
the
like,
20 micro habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, thanks, Brooklyn.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.